because
we're just waiting one more minute till it's officially 7 p.m. Thank you for your patience. We'd like to call the Board of Supervisors meeting to order, please. If you'd all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item for today is the CCPC America 250 flag handoff. We have welcome remarks this evening from Michelle Kickline and Rob Williams.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to be here.
Welcome.
I haven't been on this side before, though I do notice that some of the people behind me are still here, so some things haven't changed. Anyway, it's good to be here, and I'm here with my colleague and co-commissioner for the Chester County America 250. America 250 Chester County Commission was created by our county commissioners in 2001 or 2021, sorry, I'm really hitting zero tonight, to bring awareness to our nation's 250th anniversary and to connect the citizens with events and volunteer organizations throughout the county. In commemoration of the nation's 250th anniversary, the 250th Commission is presenting municipalities and other entities in Chester County with an official America 250 PA Chester County flag. These outdoor flags are being given to every municipality, school district, our state and congressional representatives, and county public facilities throughout Chester County to commemorate a milestone that invites Americans to reflect on our shared history and to look forward to our future with hope and purpose. As we commemorate the 250th this year, this flag represents more than just a date on the calendar. It is a tribute to the enduring principles of liberty, justice, and equality that have shaped the American experiment for a quarter of a millennium. It honors those who built and defended this country while celebrating the resilience and rich tapestry of stories that define us today. We hope this flag will be displayed in tribute as we join together to engage and unite our communities in the historic celebration and our commitment to the ideals of our nation and each of our roles in shaping the next chapter of our American journey. Our residents can learn more about Chester County's rich history and find community celebrations happening nearby by going to America250chesco.org. The 250th Commission is also on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So thank you for hosting us today. We're really excited. We'll have a few local remarks from Rob, and as I was mentioning, we're also accompanied by David Blackburn, who, if you haven't met him before, is the head of our historic preservation group in Chester County and the Planning Commission. So we're excited to have him here today. And I was mentioning to David, the first time I set foot in Tredyffrin was 1976. So I'm dating myself, but I do remember being in Valley Forge Park and hearing President Ford speak and seeing all the covered wagons come in. So I hope our children will certainly enjoy and relish the memories that they get this year of all the different events. And hopefully somebody, I'm sure I will not be here at the 300th, but who knows. I hope somebody will be here to celebrate 50 years from now. So with that,
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and all your expertise that you've dedicated to this event, Ms. Kickline. Rob Williams.
Yeah, just a brief remark. I joined the America 250 Chester County Commission purposely to play the role of a township person or a municipality and bring that voice in. And I think one of our greatest accomplishments on the commission has been instigating and then supporting all the boroughs and all the townships across the county. And each one has had their own celebrations. Goshen, the Goshens have had theirs. Kennett's is coming up. Counds is coming next weekend. And here in Tredyffrin, we get to celebrate. We have our the new Tredyffrin Heritage Center in Chesterbrook is holding what they call Dare to Declare, reading of the Declaration, 1 p.m. on July 4th. And then that evening, of course, we have our usual fireworks and for the first time in a long time, the Chester County Concert Band, which will be exciting. They're going to be producing patriotic music that night, of course, followed by the big booms, probably with the 1812 Overture, as we all know. So anyway, we're very excited. This flag will fly over many libraries and township and borough buildings. And so it's just, once again, it's us and the rest of the county celebrating the year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate all your expertise. You spent many years dedicating time to supporting all the historic resources in the township, and we know as well in the county, and we really could not be in a better place for the semi-quincentennial. Additional remarks from Mr. Martin, Township Manager?
No, I mean, we appreciate all the work and effort you guys have been putting into this across the county. We have a lot of events planned here, Tredyffrin as well. We're all very excited. So with that, if Acting Chair Humble, if you want to come down, and we'll present the flag.
Yes,
and
thank
we'll
you.
go from there.
Thank you. So for those who don't have an agenda in front of them, we're doing a handoff of a flag from Mr. Blackburn to the township.
Yes, without further ado, my name is David Blackburn. I'm the Director of Historic Preservation and Heritage Programs for Chester County through the Planning Commission and help to administer this august commission. So on behalf of Chester County, on behalf of the 250 Commission, we present to you our one and only Chester County America 250 flag to hang proudly in the flagpole here. On my way here, I dropped one off at the Tredyffrin Library as well. So on both sides of the highway, people should see it. But we would love to be able to get a picture with at least some of you.
All right, ready? Wait for Oscar. Perfect, all right. Ready? Great.
Thank you again for the flag. We'll have it hung by the morning. We're very proud of it. Thank you. Moving on for announcements, in observance of Juneteenth, Township offices will be closed on this Friday, June the 19th. In observance of Independence Day, Township offices will close at 2 p.m. on Thursday, July the 2nd, and will be closed Friday, July the 3rd. Moving on to number 5, the approval of the minutes. Seeking a motion to approve minutes of May 20th, 2026.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to township business, the board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss litigation matters and for legal advice. Additionally, before we address the rest of the agenda, I am seeking a motion to amend the agenda for the Board of Supervisors June 15th, 2026 meeting to add item I, approval of a partial escrow release for Berwyn Village. Do I have a motion? Is there any second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair, I do want to just point out the reason for doing so. This request was just inadvertently left off the agenda and then requires board action prior to the July meeting. The request for a release was submitted dated May 11th. You have a review letter from Princeton Hydro, the township's engineer, dated June 2nd as to that amount. And the board has 45 days to act, so we don't have enough time to wait until the July meeting, hence the motion to amend for tonight.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion? Oh, sorry. Any other discussion? Yes, we have somebody in the audience.
All right, just a procedural question. I do have a couple of comments about
Sure.
that item. Will I be able to bring those up later, or should
Now
I do
is
it
the
now?
time.
Now's
No,
good?
no.
Okay.
No, this is just to amend the agenda to put
Right.
it on, and then we have the full discussion.
Okay, so by
You're good.
amending the agenda, you're not necessarily.
Right, we're
doing
just
it.
adding this on. We're
All
within
right, so
the
I'll be
notice
back
period.
when the item.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So I'm looking for a vote on the motion to amend the agenda to add item I for the approval of partial escrow release for Berwyn Village. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes. Moving down to supervisor liaison reports. Mr. Brazunas.
Hi, good evening. Starting with Fire EMS Commission, work on the 2027 budget has already begun. The Chief of Fire and Emergency Medical Services recruitment is ongoing. Our next meeting is June 17th at 3 p.m. at the Easttown Township Municipal Building. Planning Commission, there's no report this past month. Planning Commission will meet this Thursday, June 18th at 7 p.m. in this room. Development Subcommittee has a couple projects they're working on right now. That includes data center ordinance, which has been discussed in previous meetings, as well as continued look at the student housing issue in the township. That's all, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Van Maal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Municipal Authority did not meet since we last met. Our next meeting is scheduled for July 15th. The Traffic Committee, our next meeting is scheduled for this Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. right here in this building. And the Library Foundation, the next meeting is scheduled for next week, June 23rd at 7 p.m. at the Tredyffrin Public Library, and that will be the Foundation's annual meeting. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Van Maal. Dr. Gussie.
The Historical Commission met on June 11th. We had several interesting discussions regarding 2 properties for which there's interest in being added to the Historic Resources map. The commission is working through the process on those properties. One is on our agenda later today, so we'll hear about it then. We also received an update on the development of the Historic Resources Overlay District Ordinance. We completed our initial public engagement sessions in April, and our consultant is now preparing the first draft of the ordinance based on the feedback and data that was gathered in those sessions. As development of the ordinance progresses over the coming months, I anticipate there will be many opportunities for the board members and the public to provide input. Next, our Conestoga interns recently completed their work on their depredations project. They did an outstanding job researching the topic and developing content for educational panels that will help share this part of our history with the public. Janice Olson and Jean Fabers, who are members of our commission, provided exceptional guidance and mentorship throughout the project, and I'd like to commend them for their efforts. In fact, the Conestoga senior advisor involved noted that this project serves as a model for what the internship program should look like. So congratulations to everyone involved on that project. Finally, the commission continues to work on America 250 initiatives for Tredyffrin Township, and I look forward to seeing those plans materialize. The next historical commission meeting will be held on July 9th. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gussie. Moving on, Supervisor Bhaskar, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Environmental Advisory Council met on Tuesday, May 26th, and here are selected highlights. Essential rain garden maintenance was done, but more remains. There's more weeding and removal of invasive plants at Stratford Park that's needed. A meeting of the Tredyffrin EAC with the Easttown EAC is planned for September 29th to discuss common issues, and the EAC is collecting ideas for discussion. For example, possibly a bin to collect glass for recycling, because it turns out that much of the glass that is collected for recycling actually ends up in the trash. And then there was a presentation, one of the EAC members had collected a Radner presentation, an update, excuse me, an update on two-stroke cycle leaf blowers. That's a concern, and it was shared at the meeting. And EAC member Phil Whitmer said that there was likely to be some grant money available in the next couple of years for bird-proofing window treatments for nonprofits. And then the Valley Forge Elementary School Stormwater Basin Floor Restoration Part 1 was completed. The next meeting of the EAC is scheduled for Tuesday, June 23rd, 7 p.m. in the community room. Moving on to the Library Board of Trustees, I'd like to make a motion to confirm Libby Burnick as the Library Board of Trustees for the vacant position.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So I'd just like to,
yes, go ahead.
Libby's in the room, I'd like to, thank her for stepping up. All of our boards are volunteer-powered, and certainly we appreciate the energy and enthusiasm of the members.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Bhaskar. Okay, so we had a motion, we had a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, and welcome to the Library Board, Ms. Burnick.
Moving on.
She's in the back if anybody wanted to meet her.
So moving on to the Library Board of Trustees meeting. The board met on Thursday, May 28th, and here are selected highlights. So it was announced that John C.T. Alexander, a longtime Library Board member and chair, had passed away, so our regrets. The board nominated Kevin Delaria to the role of chair and Praveen Chelly to the role of vice chair. And Rob Kroner will be stepping down as chair, so we certainly appreciate his service. He will be staying on as a member of the board, so this does not create a vacancy. And the way that the bylaws of the Library Board of Trustees work, they nominate the chair and vice chair, or nominate officers at one meeting and then confirm them at the next meeting. So they will be confirmed at the June meeting. And the library will not renew the Elmwood Park Zoo passes. As you know, the library has these programs where you can actually get passes to various places like museums and zoos. And this is because of concerns about privacy. The Elmwood Park Zoo was asking for email addresses of people that had taken the passes and so on. And then the board approved a revised food and beverage policy, and other policies are under review by the policy committee. And one of the things they try to do is actually make sure that all of the policies follow a certain standard format. The next meeting of the Library Board will be at 7 p.m. on Thursday, June 25th at the Paoli Library. So please do plan to attend. And that concludes my update. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Bhaskar. Supervisor Johnston Pugh.
I have no report.
Thank you very much. I have no report for today. Oh, so sorry. David Miller is appearing via video. Supervisor Miller, do you have a report for today? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I do not have a report for today.
Okay, thank you very much. Next on the agenda, item B, is a motion to authorize staff to work with Township Solicitor on agreement for naming rights for the park located at 355 Chase Road. Dr. Gussie.
Earlier this year, our Finance Committee asked that research be conducted regarding, I couldn't tell what that was, sorry. Asked that research be conducted regarding the potential value of naming rights for our newly acquired Chase Road Park. The purpose was to determine whether naming rights could provide a meaningful source of revenue to support the community asset. Based on that research and a review of comparable opportunities, staff determined that a reasonable value for naming rights would likely fall between $500,000 and $1 million. Following those discussions, Chair David Miller expressed interest in making a contribution in exchange for the naming rights to the park, and his proposed contribution is $625,000. It's important to note that the proposed gift actually matches the $625,000 the township paid as just compensation for the property. So this represents a substantial commitment to Chase Road Park and to our community. As is customary with gifts of this magnitude, the contribution would be made over a period of not to exceed 5 years, with a specific payment schedule and other terms to be negotiated and incorporated into the agreement. So the motion before us tonight is to authorize staff to work with our solicitor to prepare an agreement for consideration by the board. I appreciate the work that has gone into exploring this opportunity, and I'd very much like to thank Chair Miller for his willingness to make such a significant commitment to our Chase Road Park and to the residents of our township. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Do I hear?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Gussie. Any discussion?
I got a question.
Yes, go right ahead.
So, are we going to do this like they do the Comcast Center and Wells Fargo, that every so many years, the lease name may last for 5 years, and then it comes up for bid, and then somebody else gives us some more money, and we're going to continue? This is not going to be a permanent thing, or are we going to do it like most, I'm just going to say most arenas do, or facilities, that every so many years it goes, the name can change, and if somebody wants to hand us $1 million, then they get to name it for however many years goes along? Are we doing it that way?
Well,
Patrick?
I would pass it on to Township Manager Miller, but in this township, we have many parks that have borne the same name for decades, and I'm not really aware that we've gone around changing any other assets in name due to somebody paying more for naming rights, but I'll defer to Township Manager Miller for some history about that.
Actually, let me
I'm
just,
so sorry. I'm looking at David Miller on the screen and then talking to Bill Martin.
Actually, I will add a comment to that, which is that, so one of my questions, so Dr. Gussie has been handling this from the supervisor's side, and because obviously Chair Miller, being a party, cannot handle it for the township. And one question I had was whether this was going to be named after a company, or whether it was going to be named after, some individuals. And it is apparently going to be named after his grandparents, right, or something, or some family member. So therefore, it's not quite the same like having a Citizens Bank Park or a SoFi Stadium or something like that. It is more something much more personal.
Well, the motion is to authorize staff to work with the township solicitor on agreement for naming rights for the park. So I think it hasn't been agreed upon yet. We're giving them authorization to begin discussing what names might be possible for naming of the park. we're very grateful to Supervisor Miller for being so generous with this contribution. So at this time, the only item before the board is authorizing staff to work with the township solicitor regarding that. Okay, thank you. Any discussion from the public?
So let me just ask one other question.
Yep.
We're working with Patrick and Bill and everyone that, but if someone else, say if someone comes up and says they want to give us $1 million to name the park, will we do that?
I think that could also be part of the agreement. That could be part of what you're figuring out in the agreement, so that we have that answer.
That's what I want to make sure.
Yeah.
And that's really a decision for you all to tell me, is what do you want to do? And that can be part of the feedback that you provide on the draft.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion from the public?
Yeah, just one thing to answer Carlotta's question. I already addressed this issue with Joe and Bill, which is, I mean, if someone were to come forward after today's meeting and say they want to give us $1 million, we'll take it, right? So just to be clear.
He said if someone offers us $1 million, we'll take it.
All right, thank you very much. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Moving on to item C, parks.
And I abstained, by the way, just to be clear.
I'm sorry?
I abstained.
Oh, and Mr. Miller abstaining. Thank you. We presume by your generosity that you are approving the item. Thank you. So item C, Parks Update Presentation, Mr. Duda.
First time doing this, so I gotta figure it out. All right, thank you to the board, thank you to township residents for having me out here. Do you guys have the screen? There we go. So I'm gonna give a quick high-level view of where we stand for the parks projects that have already been approved, ones that have just been approved, and where we stand on those, just to create some transparency. For those of you that don't know, my role here is I oversee the projects as they come in. I see them from start to finish and work with the contractors to make sure what we're paying them is what they're doing. All right, Mill Road, let's start with that. So at Mill Road Park, we thought about putting a bathroom in down there. After deliberation, decided that Green Flush was the best option for us. What that is it's a standalone bathroom. Think of a glorified porta potty, not to that level, more so like the trailers that you see roll in for weddings. We have pictures on the next slide to show you there. The reason for doing this is Mill is notorious for flooding. What this bathroom will allow us to do is Public Works equipment will be able to forklift this thing up and bring it up here to the complex in higher ground. It also gives us the ability to move it somewhere else if there's a necessity to do that. It is removable. It is solar powered, so there are no direct hookups to this. It's all self-contained in one unit. It is also ADA compliant. So there is a idea of what that will look like. Stratford and LED Parks. This is a project here to install some new playground equipment. General Recreation is who we normally work with in the past. They've been pretty good with us getting equipment and kind of reworking some of the areas that we have. This will provide brand new play equipment. It will also provide new mulch for both parks. We will not be increasing the footprint with these. So I just want to make sure that we understand that the LED on the right there, the reason why that looks like that is that's going to be self-contained in the same footprint that's already out there. We're not looking to expand the area there. Also, I want to add, Public Works is also going to help us out with this one, demoing the existing sets that are out there. Right now, lead time is a couple months. I just had a phone conversation with Will out at Gen Rec, He thinks that we'll get the equipment in early October, and they can have it up in 2 to 3 weeks. So it looks like we might be operational by the end of October on both of these. And there's a look at that. This is also posted on the Township website under projects for Public Works. Wilson Farm Park. So obviously, if you've been out there, you've seen some significant changes to the park. Some of those have gone really well, some of those have not gone so well. Some of the things that haven't gone well are the playground surfaces that have underwater detention basins. The brief history, Wilson Farm Park, when it was built in the early 2000s, needed a lot of fill in that area to bring it up level. None of that soil, at least through information that I've found in the past, was ever tested for where it came from, what was in it. This project required us to dig down, line it, and essentially what this system does is it fills into a reservoir and it slowly releases the water gradually into the retention basin down below. The downside to this is the soil that was left in there that was supposed to be part of the original project to be brought back in to use over again is highly, highly dense in clay, and clay and water aren't a very good mix together. So the clay was getting wet and the surface was creating detentions in them. There were some small design changes that needed to be made. What we did from a township standpoint was reached out to Pannoni, who we used in the past, most recently at 23 Bridge. They helped us come up with a solution, third party, outside of the people that we used to get a clear conscience and clear head on what we needed to do with it. Where we're at right now, I actually just had a meeting today at 3 o'clock. You'll see anticipated July 4th opening. It is not looking very good at this time that it will be a July 4th opening. I think it will be the week after. There was a little miss in cure times for the concrete. Concrete has to have some time to cure before you go putting things on top of it. Unfortunately, that was overlooked, and the playground surface people are very busy this time of year. So it's looking like that final coating for the pour-in-place surface is going to happen the week of July 4th. Unfortunately, that is about a week and a half process start to finish. Following up on that, I know there was a lot of discussion in the past about gating that area in. That was approved in a former change order to the job, I believe a couple months ago here at the board. That has not been done yet. The reason why that has not been done yet is with the anticipated fixes for the playgrounds, we needed to get some pretty big equipment in there that I really wasn't comfortable with the contractors ripping off our brand new gates. So that will be done as soon as the pour-in-place is done. Lastly, for Wilson Farm Park, water fountains. This has been the biggest struggle since we started this project. The water fountain company, what they say and what they deliver are two different things. We've received over half of them now. We're still waiting on 5, and depending on who you talk to at the foundry there, it's a month and it could be 3 months. So we've been due diligent at pressing them, try to get them to us as soon as possible. One of the factors is the dog bowl setup on the next slide, where you'll see a picture of it, is a design of only this company, so only this company we can go to get it. It's patented. So that is in the top right there. Top left is the basins of which the playgrounds sit on. If you've been out to Wilson, you've seen the new electronic signboard, the new dugouts, and then down below is one of the playgrounds that we are currently working on rectifying. What is going on here? Here we go. 355 Chase Road. This project was awarded by the Board of Supervisors on 5/20. Project details of this are repaving the existing tennis courts, adding a pavilion and restroom, a public works pole barn for park equipment, plantings and fencing around the perimeter. We expect this project to be finished in the fall of this year. Just to give some heads up on this. We do think that we will get some savings back on this project from the original bid. Fortunately for us, when Picket Post put the clay court in out there, they put it directly on top of an asphalt course. So we stripped the clay off, and underneath was exactly what we were going to put in to begin with. So there should be some savings there with that, as we think that we can just recondition those asphalt courts, including the one for the clay court. And I don't have a number yet on what that's going to look like, but there should be significant savings there. This week, they're going to start the footers for the pavilion, and we are hoping to get the paving contractor, which is ultimately busy this time of year also, within the next month or so. What I'd like to see is us open the courts and then get the park up and running, and then finish off the pavilion and the public works buildings as we can, but get it operational as soon as we can. Friendship Park. So Friendship Park right now currently stands at 90% plans. Currently, they're under review. We are a little behind on this project due to NPDES permits, HOP, and the Chester County Health Department. We've submitted plans to them. There was some miscommunication with some people inside the departments. Thankfully, Mr. Burgo, who is not here, I can give a shout out to for working with PennDOT, moving us ahead on the HOP portion and streamlining that. It looks like that we've gained the traction that we were looking to move this forward. With this park, the amenities of this park are obviously the dog park, an added picnic pavilion, new playground equipment with the safe fall surface, just like at Wilson Farm Park, and a restroom. Timeline construction. So construction and bid documents we expect to be ready by late summer, early fall. Bidding and construction to begin as soon as possible with these, as soon as the permits are obtained. It is worth noting that we will consider CoStar's program on this. It will significantly start the start process of the job, as long as the costs come back in what is alignment for what we think that should be. And that's what I have.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the updates. Moving along, item D, a motion to approve change order number 1.
No discussion on that?
Oh, sure.
Can anybody?
Any discussion on the park updates presentation? If so, please approach. Yes, sure. Mr. Duda, you might come up again because Mr.
How's
Johnson has
that,
questions.
okay? Yeah, Roland Johnson, Paoli, Pennsylvania. My question really is, on the Wilson Park, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay, it very well could be, the cost is about 1.3 or 1.4 million. Is that correct?
I believe we are, I'd have to look back through what was approved at the board, but I believe we're closer to the 2 million mark.
2 million.
For that project.
Okay, 2 million. Do you have a breakdown on what these items are costing
Yes.
individually?
Yes.
Can we get that?
Yeah, I could provide that.
Do you have it now?
I do not have that with me right now.
You don't have it now?
Not on me, it's on my.
Okay.
on my-
$2 million. $2 million. I don't know how many people have been there. Been over there? I was there today. Okay? Why wouldn't we, spending $2 million, and we don't do any soil tests before to see if there's water under there or what the surface is? Wouldn't you think, I'm not an engineer, but I think the basic thing to do would be, when you're spending $2 million, that's not chump change. You check it out beforehand. Did we do that?
We did not, but I will
Did
say, I will say that 90% of the problems that are stemming from this project are from a design flaw standpoint, more so than they are as soils.
And who reviewed the design forms?
This was reviewed by Simone Collins and Spot Stevens.
And was there any objection to those?
So one of the biggest problems in construction is that when we're in design phase, what'll happen is engineers will design these projects. They'll run them through computer simulations on average rainfall. They'll do the best that they can with the information that they have on a 100-year flood, get everything set up the way they are. Unfortunately, there are some instances where implied results aren't actually what was desired in the field. It is unfortunate. Since I've worked here, this is the only time this has happened since I've been here. But to say that it doesn't happen wouldn't be factual.
All I'm going to say is it's $2.3 million, okay? I ask everybody on the supervisor's board to take a walk over there that they're going to open. The only thing that I've seen done that's under construction is the playground area. Now, I rode around. I didn't see anything else. Maybe I missed it. But if we spend $2.3 million for that, I got the George Washington Bridge that maybe you want to buy, the Brooklyn Bridge. I mean, and that's, I don't know what else is being done, but I'd love to see what the cost basis is for that. Again, the cost basis for playground equipment, I think a couple of swings and some grass. And the one thing that's a danger over there, I know you, please, I'd ask everybody to respect all you people up there because you do a lot of work for very little compensation. Walk over to Wilson Park and see at the end where they put the swing sets is. Going down from there where little kids are going to use it, right? You walk down the steps, what are they? They're brick, okay, rocks. There's no handrail there. So little kids are going to have to come down from that to go down and walk down steep steps of rocks. Little kids, 3-year-old, 4-year-olds, no handrail. So we're spending $2.3 million and we can't put a handrail there? Okay, are we putting any upgrades on this $2.3 million? The basketball courts, where maybe some courts for little kids that can play, they can't shoot at a 10-foot basket? We doing any of that?
No, at this time, that's not in there. Now,
I mean, these are intelligent people sitting up here. $2.3 million. I defy anybody to go over there. I'd like you all to go over there and at the next meeting say, man, we got a great deal or we got hosed big time. So we're paying for the contractors that basically were doing work when they didn't do a soil test. Look, I had a pool put in my old house way back in West Milford, New Jersey, way back. The first thing the guy did, he did a soil test to see what was under there, to see if there was water under there, to see there was what the ground was before. I mean, that's basic 101. Does anybody up here disagree with me?
Mr. Johnson, when he said
Thank you.
those soil tests, I think that what he was talking about was when Wilson Farm Park was first built, even. So some of what we're doing now is to remediate those problems. Additionally, the new, we call them the new things being done at Wilson Farm Park, that began in 2019. And so at various board meetings, at the Parks and Rec board meetings, the items considered to be redone at the park or added to the park have been considered by the park board as well as by the Board of Supervisors and been made public information throughout the years. So if today you're only seeing the tot lot being worked on, well, part of what Mr. Duda showed us was the baseball dugouts have already been completed. Pardon me?
They hardly ever use. We have kids playing over on the main road over here. I can't think of the name of the field, where you basically have to get out, park your car, and maybe get hit by cars coming down the road.
That's the one you're talking about, Radville Park,
Right.
over at 252. My kids both played baseball constantly in Wilson Farm Park, as well as at other parks in the township, such as Maisie B. Hall. They played at Mill Road Park.
Can the Little League use those fields?
Yeah, they were Little Leaguers. That's what I'm talking about. The
My
Little
kids
League
are in
rents
Little
them.
League.
The Little League rents those fields regularly, and it's actually hard to get a field because there is so much demand for them. So it's summertime now, school is out, you're not going to see Little League being played there tomorrow, but, they have been working through the list
I
that
saw
went
a
through
practice
in
tonight
2019.
at that small field down there, and I rode by Wilson Park, and those two fields, big fields before I came over here, was nobody there.
At 252, the one on 252 is, I believe, a different league that plays. Additionally, if you go in off Howellville Road, the Field of Dreams.
Yeah, the Howellville Road field.
Little League, Berwyn-Paoli League uses those fields constantly. So if you were to drive in there as well, you'd see it. But we're in the summer right now where school is out.
I
And not
understand.
everybody's
I was just
playing.
going to make one more point because I've taken too much time, but I ask you to look at that and go over there. The one other thing we could do, in the back, there's a whole flat green level over there, okay? And the grass is very low. You could put a putting green in there for people. They just go over and putt. Costs like nothing to do that. Nothing. Very minimal.
Are you talking about the putting green that exists at Wilson Farm Park?
Yeah.
Well, we do have a putting green there for people to use.
There's
And it's
no,
been there
when
from
I
the
was there
beginning.
today, there was no holes, no sticker there that said this is the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
so this was, a number of these projects were all vetted and designed in 2019 to, as Supervisor Humble pointed out,
Anyway.
the dugouts, these were all upgrades to the middle concession stand, the playgrounds. There were a number of large things that were done over the years. In fact, to your point, we could go on about a million things we'd love to see there, but that was part of the process, and those are what were selected. There were also discussions of a splash pad. That didn't get put in. So it's a million, there was a plethora of things that were selected and chosen, and that's where we are with this project. So there were a lot of options considered, certainly, for what could be put in.
It's done. I'm just going to say, ask the people to go over there, walk through for the next meeting and do it in time, and see, man, did we get a good deal for 2.3 million or not? And I hope you take very strong consideration in the renovations that are going on in the other parks and see, are we getting a bang for our buck? Look, I'm a very generous man when it comes to my money, spending it. But when it comes to the taxpayers' money, which is not my money, I'm a real skinflint. And I'd like to see the Board of Supervisors realize that they're not spending their money, they're spending taxpayers, bondholders' money, and there's a lot of people in this town with tons and tons of money, but there's a lot of people here who don't. Thank you very much for your forbearance, and I appreciate your service to the town.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any other discussion? Yes, please approach.
My name is Barbara Guido, and my comments have to do with the Friendship Park Dog Park. Is this a good time for that?
Well, right now we were talking about the park update presentation. Friendship Park was included in that, so I would say yes, your comments at this time are germane.
Okay. So I guess I have 2 points to make. One about my experience of sending some input into the supervisors, and the other on how I feel about the dog park at Friendship Park. So in April, about 6 weeks ago, I sent an email to all of the supervisors. I hit the button that said all supervisors, and I gave my opinion and concern about the dog park at Friendship Park. I never heard anything. 2 weeks later, I reached out to Bhaskar, who I know, and said, gee, did you see the email I sent? And he had not. So he reached out to Bill Martin, and right away, Bill Martin responded back to me and apologized, said it had gotten buried somehow, and he apologized. Those things happen, no problem. And he'd send it on to the park's head, which through Sharon. So another several weeks went by, I heard nothing. I reached out to Bill 2 more times over the next 4 weeks. So now we're into 6 weeks, basically. And still, he kept saying he was sending the information to Sharon to respond to me. Again, nothing. So in 6 weeks, I heard not a word. So I guess as a resident, I'm a little disappointed. I would think that you would want to respond to residents' concerns. So ironically, today at 5 o'clock, I got a response from Sharon. So do it as you will. So my concern about the dog park, I travel up 252 all the time, going, I guess it's south, going up the hill, up Bear Hill, going under the trestle. And I would say you could pick a half a dozen times throughout the day. You go up that hill and try to go under the trestle to get to Route 30, and it is awful. It is a horrible intersection. You can sit there 10, 12 minutes trying to get up the hill to go under that trestle. That is where the dog park is going to be. I think it is a horrible decision, which is what I said in my email, to even consider a dog park at Friendship Park when we've got a huge township, which I can't imagine there aren't other places where a dog park could be. This is going to hinder all of us, and I think Sharon's response to me was a decision was made that it wasn't going to hinder any traffic. Obviously, the people who made that decision don't go around 8 to 9:30 in the morning, noon to 1:30 in the afternoon, any time after 4. Any of those times you go up that road, it is a nightmare of waiting in line. It's a terrible intersection. So that's my concern. I wish the supervisors would reconsider the location. There's got to be better places in our wonderful township to have a dog park, which is well needed. So again, I'm disappointed in no response. I expected more, I guess. It's the first time I think I ever really wrote to the supervisors in the 30 years I've been here. But that was my experience. So I hope you reconsider.
Thank you, Mrs. Guido, and I apologize for the late response. You and I know each other personally. I know you have my personal email and my personal phone numbers, and I did not see your email until May the 27th, and the way it comes through, at least for me, I see emails stacked on top of each other, and so yours was below one. I had to do a search for your name specifically after Mr. Martin had told me that you were looking to get in touch with me regarding the dog parks. I was out of town the weekend of the 30th. I was out of town again this past weekend, but I did want to respond to you. The item of the dog parks has been, it's been considered by the Board of Parks and Recreation since 2019, since 2020 when I came on, and it's been considered for many years and looked at different parks there. Friendship Park is one of our neighborhood parks that has been, in my opinion, neglected over the years because the walking paths had all crumbled, the playground equipment was very much in need of attention, and as many people who live on that side of town at least know, it slopes down a great deal, so there's a large portion of the park that can't be used. But in the back, there is a very large vacant area that's shaded and that's well suited for use as a fenced-in dog park. Additionally, we found through the township studies that the parking lot was more than sufficient to accommodate additional car traffic of people coming to the park. One aspect of the park that has always been in high use are the basketball courts there and the tennis courts there. And another thing we discussed was not all township park, there's not only one basketball court in the township, there's not only one tennis court. Many parks have many of the amenities that our citizens would like. So as goes the dog park, it was the one we chose first. Additionally, there are many people in the township who live in homes there that are condos or apartments close to that area where they do not have yards and cannot put in a yard. So it very well accommodates people in the township who live closer to Friendship Drive or in the Western District, and it was right to easily come in and improve for a dog park. One thing we said repeatedly is just because it's the first dog park doesn't mean it's the only dog park. So just like we have tennis courts and basketball courts all over, if other parks come up for consideration after we get through this first one and seem ripe for development of a fenced dog park, and if the interest and the availability of funds is there, we think that's something that could be pursued at that time. So additionally, on the Parks and Rec Board, 3 of our members live close to that area, if I'd already not said. They are familiar daily with the traffic that goes up and down 252. They live there. And so many of us who do other business on that side of town are very well aware of it. And we've not been having complaints from any of the other park users about the difficulty of getting there and leaving. So we ask that you have faith in this first one, and that once it's complete, that you come use it and you can give us some feedback. and we look forward to talking with you more as we go forward.
It's the traffic issue, that's the only issue I have. It's the traffic. Nothing to do with the dog park, it's the traffic that affects every resident that travels 252 South to get to Paola. So you can, talk to people on your board. I'm telling you, I've been here 30 years, and there's a horrible, horrible backup intersection. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming today to express your opinion. We appreciate it. Anybody else with comment on this Parks update? Thank you. Moving along. Item D, motion to change order number 1 for the Chase Road project. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Township staff are seeking authorization and approval from the Board of Supervisors to approve change order number 1 submitted by SB Conrad in regards to the Chase Road project. Staff was asked to look into the options within the footprint of Chase Road to add 2 more tennis courts. Change order 1 will address this by converting the basketball court to 2 tennis courts while relocating and constructing a new basketball court on the property adjacent to the pavilion. The cost to keep the original plan while adding the 2 additional tennis courts would be double the cost of change order number 1. We are expecting, as Dave had said in his presentation, some savings that are in the project from the tennis courts that were the clay courts, as well as some savings for the demo and construction that was planned. While unknown what the savings is going to be at this time, in order if you wanted to add the 2 tennis courts and add a basketball court, without any savings, without any money, it would cost an additional $137,000.
Thank you. So do I hear a motion to approve change order number 1 for the Chase Road project?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public?
Ray Clark from the Melbourne section of the Township. There's a lot of questions one can ask about this change order and the project. I want to focus on 3 things: stormwater management and the impact on the residents downstream, the co-stars process and how that guarantees us the lowest price, and the timing of agenda materials published about this project. So firstly, on stormwater management. As I think probably everybody here knows, I was the co-chair of the Stormwater Task Force. We covered the entire township, divided it up into watersheds, identified issues. One of the smaller watersheds we called Valley Wilson Run. So it didn't rate very high, it was small, not many people impacted. But the people that were impacted on Scott Drive had a major flooding problem. Now, we tried very hard in the Stormwater Task Force to figure out solutions, and we came up with some ideas about maybe impacting, doing something with the basin off Wilson Farm Park, but it was generally thought to be very hard. So therefore, it is critical that any projects in that watershed manage their stormwater on site. So I would like to know how this Co-Stars project required that the new basketball court manage its stormwater. First question.
The Co-Stars is just a way of not avoiding the bidding process, but it's all those vendors that we use are already vetted through the state. So that's how the Co-Stars program operates.
Okay, so there's no standard price. You can't go to Co-Stars and say, I want to build a basketball court.
No, because
and there's a price for that.
Yeah, all those prices are already vetted through the contract we're using through Co-Stars.
So that's kind of interesting. I looked up SB Conrad. I've never heard of them before. They, I guess, do municipal projects. And they are a general contractor, and the contract is for construction activities. And the pricing is negotiable Could you talk about how we negotiated the pricing for this whole thing?
Once again, it's just, they're already vetted through the state, and those prices of what they're charging us are approved by the state already through, as part of the co-stars.
Ray, the other projects, you can negotiate with them, but there is a co-stars price. So the state bids a number of different items through this, they basically do the bidding process for you. And if you're a co-star approved vendors, you have to use the minimum you have to use is the state approved prices. You can negotiate that with any vendor potentially, but that you could ask another contractor, would you go less than the co-star price? Sure, possibly.
Right.
But the co-star price is technically bid by the state, and that's how you do that. So like we purchase vehicles through the co-star program. They're already, the vehicles are bid out on a mass scale.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's exactly what it means.
Darren wants a zero-turn mower. There it is. Beautiful. Doesn't have to negotiate that. But this complex $1.9 million project is now, like we've agreed to it with absolutely no discussion, no transparency, no assurance that it's the lowest price. Really? Really? And then finally, well, how did we pick SB Conrad, whoever they are, in the first place?
They were the contractor we used in Wilson Farm Park. We had a good relationship with them. They did good work. They were qualified, and they were a co-star vendor. So we asked them, we said, we did the in-house design through our GIS program, Robert Emanuel and staff. And we said, here, again, you're calling it a complex project. Actually, it's not a complex project at this point. And we could have a different opinion on that. So we're basically resurfacing courts, right? We did in-house, we filled the pool. We tore down the barn. We did a lot of work in-house with staff over the number of months to save money. That is now green space. We tore down the bathroom that was decrepit and had graffiti and people were breaking into. So now that's gone. All that was done in-house with staff work. So a lot of work we did do. So that we're not, to your point, I mean, you could question whether we should do more there, but right now we're just getting this open for the public because it's been an eyesore for over 7 years now. The township has acquired it. It's a racket. It has facilities there that are workable. We're going to resurface the courts, get a bathroom and a pavilion there, and a pole barn for the staff to have equipment there. It's not, I would debate whether it was considered a complex project, but it's a big project for sure. I mean, the price is reflective of the cost to do tennis courts and pickleball courts and all that. So yeah, there's cost there. I'm not denying the cost part, but in technical complexity, it's not that complex.
But how about the stormwater management?
That's a very good question. I mean, at this point, it's an existing facility. So we took out the pool. It's now green space. So we've removed some impervious coverage. The existing coverage is going to be less because that's out and we're only using one access to the pole barn. And existing courts the paving there is existing.
But I'm sorry that Steve's not here, but he would tell us that the township stormwater water ordinance requires that if you demolish something to replace it with the same impervious coverage, then you have to put in stormwater management.
We're not demolishing and replacing anything. The existing courts are being resurfaced. We
You're
demolished.
going over the top of the existing surface. There's no removal of any surface. I think we removed the clay.
So when we surface courts, that's not considered, it's still impervious. Even if you go down to base, that's already impervious coverage. We're not removing that.
And we got an opinion from Steve that that was okay?
It's all been reviewed by staff.
And the new basketball court is going in where was previously grass.
And I've had this discussion with Steve that there would have to be some stormwater for that, even though it's less than probably, I'm not sure how many square foot it would be, but if it is, then we'll do stormwater for that basketball court.
And obviously that's something that is negotiated with this co-star's vendor. He doesn't have a price for that.
We haven't asked them to look at it yet, but it could be something we could do in-house. It depends on what Steve and Princeton Hydro recommend for that. It's a basketball court. I'm not sure it's that large a project. It's not like retention based on the ground or that type of thing. It could be something on the surface, so we have to look at that.
And just to clarify, because I want to shed some information for you as someone who worked for the state, the Co-Stars program is a program that the state runs. The Department of General Services runs this. And it's essentially, it's a co-op. Basically, the Department of General Services goes out for common projects and says, we anticipate that this will be the projects that municipalities, school districts, the state itself may need to get. What were you willing to bid on, and give us competitive pricing, because there is, and I'm looking right here at DGS's memos, 9,500 plus buyers that could potentially use this. So basically, the pricing you're giving us is something we can put out to 9,500 of our members. So it's essentially a state program to help streamline the process for a lot of common goods.
Yeah, highly appropriate for zero-turn mowers, of course. One thing, and I don't want to monopolize the discussion here, but we know that this $1.77 million project was approved with no supervisor discussion, with an item that was added to the agenda during the meeting that is $1 million over the budget that you approved just a few months ago. No supervisor discussion, no public discussion, no public notice. And now the agenda for that May 20th meeting is published on the website with all the supporting materials. And if you look at the metadata on that thing, it was saved on June the 10th for a May 20th meeting. It seems like we're trying to rewrite history here. And I don't think that's doing good service to the public. And I don't know why we're behaving in this way. I really don't. Thank you.
Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I believe Supervisor Johnson Pugh has comment for you.
Mr. Clark, can you come back for 1 minute? I got to ask you a question. Okay. I kind of understand what you're saying about money, because it's not growing on trees and we're not printing it. So I understand, because my taxpaying dollars are
Right.
involved in this too. But what would you like to have seen done with the park, and how much money? Because I know you have a thing about Darren's lawnmower, okay? I know you have this thing about Darren getting this lawnmower. But with the prices of the way things are now, because things are high, I mean, they're just high, what would you have liked for us to have done and told you, okay, do you want like a line item breakdown that the grass is going to have this put in? You know, what is it that you
I would have
want
liked
from
to have
us?
seen, Supervisor Johnson Pugh, the same level of discussion as we've had for Wilson Farm Park, for Friendship Park, and that all of you guys have been engaged, the public has been engaged. Here, it was done under the cover of darkness and is being backdated somehow.
Ray, this is David. Mr. Clark, this is David Miller. Just listen for a second. I am not happy with your tone on that particular point. We've discussed this park for several years on what we would do with it. So it's not a new discussion. We did discuss it in finance. At that meeting, I agree, was not on the agenda. There was a mistake that staff apologized for. So it's not that this was done under the cover of darkness and we're trying to hide this from the public. And we're talking about right now.
You know, finance has no authority. The board has the authority.
It also was in the Parks Board as well, so, yeah.
Neither board has authority.
Correct, but it was discussed, yep.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. We acknowledge all of your volunteerism that you've done for the township for a very long time in stormwater issues, as well as the tree ordinance and those issues and how important they are. So we appreciate you coming today and expressing your opinion for us. Thank you. Is there another comment from audience member? Just 1 minute, Mr. Johnson, let's let her go first.
Hi there, my
Hi.
name's, we have.
Just a quick question.
Oh, okay, wait, let's,
I'm sorry.
just so it's all in order, if you could just restate your name.
This is.
It's got to be red.
Yeah, hit the button and.
There we go. Roland Johnson. A quick question, and Supervisor Johnson made a great point. Proposed expenditures again on any park, I think it's just basic that you get a breakdown of what the expenses are going to be on a line item basis. If you're going to do your bathroom over, the contractor doesn't just say, oh, $25,000. and I'm gonna do the bathroom. He gives you a breakdown of what it's gonna be. New tub, new shower, painting, floor. I mean, it's incredulous when I asked this gentleman over here if we had the breakdown for the Wilson Park, what every item was gonna cost, and we're gonna renovate the parks again, just bring a line item of what each item is going to cost. And that's basic 101. I'm sure all you people have had constructions done on your house or anything else, okay? No one enters a contract and says, here's $50,000 to do the bathroom. What are you going to do? I'll let you know after it's done. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Many of us know you, but if you could please state your name for the record, we'd appreciate it.
Hi there, I'm Carol Clark from Tredyffrin. You asked a very good question. What do we want to see? And it's a challenge. I'm conflicted. The costs are going up and up and up. And it was a very expensive park to buy. The jury is still out for us to find out what the real cost that's going to be for the land and all of our lawyers' costs because it's eminent domain. And we were led to believe we could utilize and just, it's a quick thing. We can just fix up there's pickleball courts already there, and there's other facilities we can use, refurbish them, paint them up, and we can handle it. But it's not that way. And I'll give you the answer at the end, and you can be upset. Given everything that I've heard, I was going to, and what I know as a citizen, I don't have what's in all of your packets. I don't have the information you have. I've had to ask for a lot of information to get it. Do you realize that the master plan for this park has not been on the website? That very little information is available about the Chase Road Park on the website? You have to go and ask people. You go to various committee meetings and they don't have copies of the master plan. You have to find the right person to ask. And when I did ask the township, it was like, and everyone's like, well, it should be there, it should be there. But it's not there. I think there's a lot of residents that don't understand fully what's going on, but there's been very little information about this park. Yes, there's been groups that have had lots of discussions, but in terms of what's been available to the public has been limited. But anyways, I'll get back to what you had said, and I would say, I would encourage, and I'll back this up then, I will encourage you to vote no for this particular addition. And I would ask you to go back and look at the entire project and figure out ways of reducing its impact on the taxpayer, finding alternative funding sources. My goodness, I have to say, Mr. Miller, you surprised us all with your alternative funding source. In fact, somebody was hinting about that at the budget meeting when I stood up here and said, how are we paying for it this year? But we need more alternative funding sources. We need to cut costs. We perhaps have to realign our priorities because this is so expensive. And we need to clearly understand what we're voting for and the impact on people with this amount of money we're charging. It's important for us to think of this proposal as it's only, it's just $137,000. We're going to get so much more. We're going to get 2 extra tennis courts, and we'll still be able to save at least 1 basketball court. But that is in addition to the $1,770,000 that you voted and approved just a month ago. Now, Supervisor Bhaskar, you were traveling on business, but you voted for this. Now, that brings the price up to $2 million roughly, which exceeds the budgeted 5-year cost of the park by nearly $1.2 million. This park, in other words, was budgeted for, in this next year, for $725,000 was to be spent on it. That was in the capital plan for making the capital improvements. Originally, it was only $400,000, and then said, let's take the next 5 years, let's do it all at once and get it done and be more efficient. Great. And so, at the budget meeting, I was assured That's our price. That's what we're going with. That's what it's going to cost us. And we will also be creative about funding for it, et cetera, so the taxpayer isn't totally on the line. Well, we're now reaching $2 million with this change order. That's a big difference. And we have no real funding scheme yet there. How can we justify adding more and more money every time we turn around? And if in fact there are stormwater management costs that we have to go in and somebody wants another change order, how in good conscience, how can you justify to the residents that just 5 months ago, we said it's going to be about $700,000, and now we're talking about $2 million, and the price could keep rising as we find things that I couldn't justify that to anyone unless I had some good funding schemes, or if maybe we go back and look at the overall project and you're roaring away and moving ahead, which is great, but we have to be realistic with the funds of our taxpayers. We have a lot of big ticket items coming down the pike that we're going to have to fund. The fire departments, constantly there's issues there, and we also have a library, huge expense. We need to be very smart, and adding money when it's you're over budget by like $1.2, $1.3 million. Who authorized and encouraged us to go over the budget by such a huge amount? Don't we have some rules about not exceeding the budget or special actions that legally we have to take when we go over budget? That's a big, big amount of money. And the way it was done, I thought was awful. I tend to follow most of the meetings, and I had checked the agenda before the May 20th meeting, and no dogs in those races, that's fine. But the day of the meeting, the adjusted agenda went out. And on there is a $1.77 million that you voted on. And I didn't find out about that till the day after. I heard about it, went on, saw the video, and I was shocked. There's been so limited information in terms of updates, et cetera, about Chase Park that it floored me, because we had no RFPs, there was nothing out to bid, et cetera. All of a sudden, bang, we've got this proposal out there, and it's hard to say no, because we all want to fix that park up and make it look nice. But did we think about the taxpayer? How are we going to fund this? There's going to be maintenance costs, et cetera, going on. But no one asked a question. There was no information shared. And on top of all of that, Darren Fitzgerald obviously had come prepared, because he offered to provide an update and a background. And the chair said, nope, we don't need that input. The supervisors have all their information in the packet. What information did you have that the average taxpayer out there did not have that made you approve that? And now you want to approve something on top of it. I support fixing up that park. I support us getting involved. When the whole discussion with zoning, et cetera, I was sitting in the second row, second seat over, and I was there raising my hand with everyone saying, yes, I'd love to have the township help out these citizens that are around this park. And we've spent a lot of money on it, and I'm concerned we're spending too much. So I hate to say slow down, but can we slow down, do what we want to do that's included in this proposal, but can we do it within the funds that have already been approved? Can we think of some way to adjust what's in the park? Or maybe we just want too much, and we might have to deal with a park that has a little more passive area, and passive recreation that is, and have a park that doesn't have all the basketball courts or all the pickleball courts that we want. And maybe it's something that we think creatively, maybe down the line we add those things in later years. Maybe there's some segments of that we can add on. And that's how the original master plan, when I finally got to see it, was suggesting that it would be done in increments. I really appreciate you giving some consideration to that. I know I had another issue there, but I support improving the parks, but I think the price tag has just gotten out of control. Anything you can do to help on that, or just slow the process down and say maybe no for now, but let's get some funding in and see how much we can get through funding and creative funding. I know that Joe DeRocco and his team is working on various funding schemes that Bill Martin has recommended to look into, and as the money comes in, then we can add on some of these special things that we really like. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Clark. Mr. Martin or Mr. DeRocco, do you have anything to add in response to her concerns?
Nothing on my end, but we always do look to seek additional funding. We have our letter into Chester County for a retro reimbursement grant
Yes.
opportunity. Again, that requires us to spend the money, and if the county has that next year, we would be eligible to apply for that, in terms of making it a more ADA compliant, accessible park facility, which obviously these improvements would do. So that's definitely a potential out there. Again, it's competitive, and it's only if the county offers it. But so we're always looking at those alternatives. That's on every project.
Thank you very much. I also know Mr. DeRocco has been quite successful in getting funds from the state for various of the parks within the township, and we're very grateful to him for his pursuit of those. Yes, Mr. Heberg.
Yes, my name is Mike Heberg. I'm from Berwyn. I would like to echo and expand upon the comments that have been made by other township residents about this particular project. First, I'd like to comment on the process, on how we got to where we are today. And in 15 years of serving on the board and observing these meetings, I've never seen such a complete absence of transparency around any issue. Basically, what happened was, after the taking of the property in April of last year, it was on the agenda at a meeting of the Parks and Rec Board. This, the design was on the agenda of the Parks and Rec last July. There was about 4 or 5 line items in the Parks and Rec minutes. So if you weren't there, you missed it. And then it was discussed apparently at the April meeting of the Parks and Rec Board, but there's no minutes posted for that. The information that is currently on the website about a parcel plan and a phasing, as Ms. Clark referenced, was relatively bare bones. I mean, the plan itself is 8 pages in length, but that was not even available. When this item was added to the agenda, I, like Mrs. Clark, looked at the agenda a couple days before the meeting. It obviously wasn't there. It was added the day of the meeting. When you look at the packet, I was watching the meeting. I happened to flip it on, and this item came up, and my jaw was literally hanging open when I heard this discussion, which lasted literally 60 seconds. I look in the packet, and there's a 3-sentence memo about this project. It blows my mind, really. And not a single supervisor stood up and said, hey, wait a minute. How about we take some public input? Where's the money going to come from? Who's going to pay for this? Is it going to come out of, is this going to be part of a bond issuance? Is this going to be part of general fund reserves? Where's the money going to come from for this $1.77 million, now proposed $1.9 million expenditure? And nobody said a word. And no one from the public said a word because no one from the public was here. They didn't know that this was going to be discussed. So I've never seen anything like this. And I'm disappointed that, because I've sat up there, it's just like, we're just going to go along to get along. We're not going to ask a question. We're not going to raise an objection. We're not going to say slow down. And it's interesting because you heard people come to the dais tonight about the Friendship Park proposal. Friendship Park has had multiple public meetings. It's had at least one major presentation in front of the Board of Supervisors that any in the township can see prior to this, right? And it's not even been, that project hasn't been awarded. Wilson Park, which is, and by the way, Friendship Park is a very similar amount of money. Wilson Park is a very similar amount of money. I can remember meetings in 2019. There's been probably 4 or 5 presentations in front of the board and updates in front of the Board of Supervisors about Wilson Farm Park. There's been open houses where they will collect information. The Friendship Park report that was provided by the engineers is 70-some pages. Wilson Farm Park is 160 pages. And they were available to the public throughout the process. This particular project is an 8-page report with a phasing plan that doesn't, I mean, at this point, has anybody seen a plan? What are the engineers working off of? I mean, I'm not aware of one, and as you may know, I've submitted a right to know request to the township because it seems that might be the only way I'm going to get it, is to get the backup documentation. So I think the process was handled, I can't imagine it could be handled any more poorly. And this is a project, understand, that's going to be paid for by every property owner in this township. We're all going to pay for it, and we're all hoping to use it. But, you know, the other part about it, which gives me pause, is this is a community amenity. This is not a pocket park for one particular neighborhood. This is an amenity that's for the entire township, and the entire township is going to pay for it. And so the lack of any scrutiny or even any information about this might lead one to believe that, well, we really don't want this to be used broadly by all the residents of the township. Let's just kind of keep it on the down low. And so I'm also disappointed on behalf of all of us who don't live close to the park that we weren't informed about this is what the amenities are going to be. Okay, there's going to be this, there's going to be that, and there was none of that in the process. And so I think that it was, it's hard to believe, where we are. And unfortunately, we're into this for a lot of money now. Okay, so we've spent $625,000 on the initial bid on the property. Okay, we're now at $1.9 million in construction costs. The budget was, you look at the township budget, and this is a question, can anybody answer me where the money's going to come from? Is it going to come from general fund reserves? Because I can tell you that already in the budget for this year, you're close to you're like $5.7 million from the township savings account between capital projects and operating. We've been told that there's $17 or $18 million in the township savings account, the general fund reserves. You've already, before this project, budgeted $5.7 million in the use of general fund reserves. And this is another $1.2 million. So you're now close to $7 million of general fund reserves that you're going to use this year out of a savings account that's got $17 or $18 million. You can use 40% of your savings account in 1 year. I don't know, does anybody have any explanation, a comment, whatever? Like this, this is not, we're running into pretty dangerous territory financially, notwithstanding the fact that we still have an unknown cost of what the additional payment could be for the purchase of the property, right? The court could come back and say, you have to write a check for another $1 million. You got to write a check for another $2 million, whatever. That's going to tap the savings account as well. I've asked the question, and hopefully I'll get an answer, apparently I'm going to get an answer by the 29th. What are we spending on the other aspects of this project, in addition to these hard construction costs, right? How much time and money has the Public Works Department spent on this project? What are the legal fees? What are the costs we're incurring on a monthly basis from the consultants? We've hired a zoning consultant to help us, fight the eminent domain process through the courts. So, where are we on all that? I think there's reason to be very concerned about the financial impact of this. What are the additional operating costs of the project? That's never been discussed. Okay, what's it going to cost to run the place? And then, specifically about the project itself, we've had, there's been conversation around the process of awarding the bid. Okay, so we have an estimate that we used in the budgeting process of $725,000. And we were told last fall when the budget was built that the reason why the original cost estimate for Chase Road had gone from $300,000 to $400,000 to $725,000 was that we were going to do everything in 2026. So we're going to do everything in 2026, and now we've gone from $725,000 to $1.9 million, and we just say, okay, that's fine, we'll just pay it. No competitive bid, no looking at the CoStar's process and saying, you know what? I mean, I don't think we have to, if we put out a proposal or a request for a CoStar's bid, I don't think we have to take it. I think we can just say, well, you know what? We're going to pass, we're going to, drop back 10 yards and take a look at this thing. I mean, that clearly had to be an option. You can't just, they can't make you, buy it if they present a price. You can say, well, we just aren't going to pay that much. We're going to relook at the project. We're going to scale some of these things off. It's a question of, we don't have plans. What are these guys working off of? We didn't get public input, right? So we didn't get who came up with the mix of that we're going to have this many pickleball courts, this many tennis courts, this many basketball courts. Now it obviously changed as of this change order. It's different than it was when we approved the original proposal, right? So who's making those determinations, especially in the absence of public input? The public didn't have a chance to say, hey, you know what? We're going to have an open house about the Chase Road Park. And we're going to.
Thank you, Mr. Heberg. I mean, at this point, we very much care about your concerns, but it sounds like you're repeating the same concerns that we've already heard. And we acknowledge that you have submitted a request for the documents. We know that's there. Mr. Martin, Mr. Duraco have attempted to answer some of these questions here tonight. So I'd like to ask.
So I'd like to.
We care very much about your opinion, but at this point, it's continuing to repeat the same items.
I have some new questions that haven't been covered, okay? That absolutely have not been covered.
Are they regarding this item or are they something else?
Yes, they're regarding this item.
Okay, let's move on.
So some additional specific questions.
Excuse me, Supervisor Johnson-Pugh has a commentary or question for you.
I just need to ask a question, because, I really do. I got to ask a question, and it actually goes to Mr. Clark, Ms. Clark, and you. And probably everybody else is sitting in here watching on TV that's saying we didn't do certain things. I do remember last year before last, when we started with this eminent domain and what have you, I remember a prior supervisor saying, yes, we're probably going to end up having to pay about $1 million out of whatever because of the land. I remember that. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember the $1 million. That was there. I understand that when we started off, it was at 400-something thousand, then we jumped to 700-something thousand, and now we're at $1 million. Now, I'm going to say something that may not sound politically correct, but I'm going to say it anyway. Some of this may have to do with, at one time it was 400,000, but when we start looking at costs, and no offense, you got prices that went through the roof because gas is still $5. It hasn't came down to $3 again. Some of those things probably are in there. There are prices that are in there for materials and things that may have, when we started this, been down lower and now it's got. I understand that I also understand that the public is having a hissy fit because they don't feel like they were involved. And I understand that, I get that, and I empathize with that. Because yes, if $1 million or $1.2 million or $2 million is coming out of a general fund or a piggy bank, yes, you all should be, everybody in this town should have a say in it. But what I want to know is, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to stop the project completely, go back to the drawing board, get Darren, get Duraco, get Bill, and Patrick and everybody else back at the table and say, okay, this is what we got, this is what we did so far, okay? Public Works has saved us some money. I don't know how much Darren and them have saved us, but I know they've saved us a couple dollars. Do you want us to stop the project completely right now and say, let's go back to the drawing board, open it up so that everybody can come in and put their 5 cents in? What do you want us to do? Because it's like we We have the property, we're waiting for the courts to tell us something. Yes, we got to pay the lawyers. Yes, we got to pay, we're going to eventually have to pay whoever owned the property. Yes, we're taking money out. Yes, we want to fix the park up because we do want people to use the park. It may be a certain group of people who use the park. Everybody in the township may not use the park. But what do you want us to do? Do you want us to stop and start all over again? What do you want? That's all I'm asking. What do you want us to do? And I understand things weren't on the website. I understand things got rammed through, but I also know that the cost of things have gone up. It may not have gone up to $1 million. I don't know, because I'm not in the construction business. I know people in the construction business, but I'm not in it. What do you want us to honestly do? Because at this point, I would like to do it so that everybody's not going to be happy. Okay, that's a given. Everybody's not going to be happy in this. But if we can come to a happy medium, to agree to disagree on certain things, and okay, we might not get 2 pickleball courts and we might not get the high-end basketball court, but we get a basketball court and we might get 1 pickleball court versus 2, and Darren them has cleaned up to give us the tennis courts that they didn't even know was there because they was covered up with something. What do you want us to do so we can get this resolved? Because I'm getting a headache. I'm actually getting a headache. It's like, what do you want us to do?
Well, I don't know process-wise what options are available to you. What I would say is that one thing I would do, well, hold on. Okay, do you want me to answer that? Okay, yeah. Right, and we didn't have that opportunity, okay? But the fact of the matter is, to the extent you could slow this thing down, to the extent you could put the brakes on it, I think that would be positive. I would say specifically one thing I would do is I would not pass this change order. I would go to the contractor and basically say, look, you just told us that the courts, the clay courts, are in better condition than what you had expected. And so we will, how about if we trade off? You guys are to build the basketball court because it's going to be less expensive to deal with the tennis courts. You know, I would be thinking creatively like that. I wouldn't, you know, and I have concerns that what kind of experience does this contractor have building pickleball courts, basketball courts, and tennis courts? You know, this is...
Thank you, Mr. Heberg. I know one thing Mr. Martin has already talked about was the pre-qualification of the vendor, and we can't not use certain vendors just because everybody doesn't know them or their pre-qualifications. I do know Supervisor Bazunas would like to address the issue, so I'll recognize him at this time.
Yeah, just a couple questions. So if we decide that we want to defer this a month or two, is that going to hurt us if we eventually decide we do want to approve this in terms of the price that's already been provided in the packets, $137,000?
Whether the price will go up, I would ask Mr. DeRocco. Everything's going up, so.
Yeah, I would expect that the price would go up.
Well, can I make a comment on that?
Which is, yeah.
It's like Supervisor Johnson Pugh said, as the price of gasoline goes up or stays high, everything is high. Groceries, you know, whatever we need, because it's so dependent on being trucked into the issue, you know, into the area. But go ahead and comment.
Okay, I'll make a specific comment about that. Over $1 million in this proposal is effectively paving. It's putting down a tennis court, putting down a basketball court, painting it, and putting lines on it, right? And fencing. The cost of asphalt is greatly affected by the price of oil, okay? The price of oil in the last 2 weeks is down from $100 a barrel to $80 a barrel. So I don't think it's fair to represent that the price of everything is going up. I mean, you know, asphalt is basically a byproduct of the refining process. And so
I believe that 2 weeks is not a fair sampling of any time.
I'm not suggesting that, but to this idea that everything is up in price, everything is up in price a lot, the fact of the matter is it's not up. If you were doing the same work and you expect it to be $725,000 and it's $1.9 million, That's about a 160% increase in the cost. I don't think we're talking about anything approaching that. So, you know, to suggest that, oh, well, this is just kind of the cost of living increases, it's, you know, this is an expansion of the scale and scope of the project. There's a 40-foot by 40-foot barn included in the project that was not scoped out in the plan that we just got on, that was on the website within the last week. So a lot of this stuff was not even known to anyone. You know, we got this, was put into the packet a couple of days ago, and that was not even available. So I think you should absolutely not approve this change order at this time. I think it's time to give the residents of the township the benefit of some transparency that was missing the first time around, and to go back to the contractor and take a look at the contract and see where there might be some economies that could be found.
Thank you, Mr. Hebert.
You're welcome.
Are there any other members?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Chair recognizes Supervisor Brzunas.
This is for the staff. So at this point, with what's available on the website, is everything that we would want to have on the website for a project like this, is that on the website and available to members of the public?
I believe it is. I believe everything is finally up. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to keep this simple because we got other things we want to do here. So, thank you.
With regards to the basketball court, again, so the original plan was to have 2 basketball courts on that, we'll call it the back courts. We were asked about maybe doing, because we only have 2 tennis courts, maybe doing more tennis courts, and then it's definitely cheaper to do 1 basketball court versus 2 tennis courts. So the biggest cost that we would anticipate if we pause, which is obviously up to the board, would just be the remobilization to the contractor after the fact, right? Which is, again, that's one of those things that varies from time to time, and again, depending on when, you know, we would want to pick it up, if we want to pick it up again, that's always out there. The scope obviously did change from, you know, what we had planned in the budget to what we're doing now in terms of the timing, right? I think we had planned to phase the project when we made this year's budget. We just didn't have certain information available about certain things like the bathroom and the pavilion and the pole barn for Public Works. Those would have been, you know, in the 27 budget. So when we started looking into this, we wanted to include all those things, obviously, for the board to decide, do you want to do it all now or do you want to phase it? And again, that's, you know, that's how we got to where we are with this project. But yeah, I would say that's the biggest question and the biggest variable at this point is just the mobilization, which, you know, for us, again, long-term, again, it's really up to the board. I think the Parks Board would probably prefer to have the 2 tennis courts over 2 basketball courts. I think you'd probably get more use of that, and then you would experience some net savings by not building the court right now. You would experience some net savings from the you know, ripping out, as Dave explained earlier.
All right.
So,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Brzunas, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so in the matter of just, I guess, the transparency issue we've talked about, I'd like to just see us, let's take 1 month, okay? And let's just focus on, make sure the website's right, make sure things are accessible. I know Dave did great work with Berwyn Fire Company, working with the folks up there. Let's just take 1 month, okay? 1 month, let's go back, look at everything again, have it on the agenda at the next meeting, and be prepared to take action on it.
At this point, since we have...
I'm sorry, can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, Supervisor Miller.
Eamon, are you proposing that we just table the basketball court, or what are you saying?
The change order, the $137,000.
I have a quick question. To clarify what you were saying, Mr. Duraco, are you saying, so now I feel, so this was to construct a new basketball court and have the one be 2 tennis courts instead? Are you saying there's another basketball court?
So
And so you're saying we could do 1 basketball court and actually have a savings overall? I guess,
what we would, if the board wants to table this or not pass it.
then you're saying if
I
we
would
tabled
suggest-
it,
I
you
would
could
suggest,
still vote for making the basketball court 2 tennis courts? And then not do the basketball?
Yeah,
I just want to clarify what you were
essentially
saying.
remove basketball
Yes.
from the park at this point. We would have 2 tennis courts and then the pickleball courts. So 4 total tennis courts, I should clarify, it's 4 total tennis courts.
The
2
chair would like
separate
to
areas.
recognize Supervisor Van Maal.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep this simple. I move to postpone consideration of agenda item D to the next supervisors meeting.
Do we already have a motion and a second out there? So is this a friendly?
This is a incidental motion. It
Hang on,
supersedes.
if there's a motion already made on the change order and seconded, technically the person who made the motion, I would suggest, would withdraw the motion if they're inclined. Otherwise, this would be a motion essentially, or vote on, it would be a motion to amend the motion that was made. So to be clearer and easier, whoever made the motion, it would be easier if they just withdraw the motion. And then you would make your motion to postpone or table.
So who made the motion?
So you certainly can do that, Mr. McKenna, as the parliamentarian hat coming on.
To
The
withdraw
motion to postpone supersedes a main motion. It's of a higher order.
Again, we're not under Robert's rules. All I'm suggesting is it's cleaner for the record, is if you would just withdraw the motion so that it doesn't have to be considered, then vote on the motion to postpone. I don't even think that the table needs to be moved to begin with, but that's just me.
If we, sorry, I'm still going back to what you were saying, Mr. Duraco. Do we need to include what he's saying so that the
No,
plan?
that key change can just be made.
Okay, because I want to make sure we're not then
Yeah.
just going to be
There'll
building.
be so there'll actually be some additional savings from not having to purchase the backboards and all that.
Right.
Okay,
The
but we
paint's
don't
gonna
need
be
to
the
have
same.
that in the amended motion or whatever we end up doing. Okay.
I think if whoever made the original motion withdraws it, that's easier than we vote now, and we would have to vote it down and then pick it up next month again. Is that correct, Mr. McKenna?
That's the will of the board, although I do think there's still potentially some public comment that may want to be made on this issue before you do anything.
I'm just looking at Ms. Hoffman real quick.
It looks like
I
Mrs.
think she
Fisher would
had
like
that.
to be recognized, so if you would please approach. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Fisher. I live at 300 Chase Road, directly across the street from the new park. I'm also president of the Chesterbrook Civic Association. I'd like to make 2 comments. The first one being basketball is really, I think, required for this park. There had been a rusted metal ring for years while it was this swim club, and it drew a lot of kids constantly, actually every evening after the pool closed. Kids were over there playing basketball. The second thing I'd like to say to everyone concerned about pricing is that with additional courts, I just did a tremendous amount of research about grants and what money would be available for a park. And I think that it's important for people to understand that when you have enough courts and run a youth program or a pickleball program, there are a lot more dollars available through both private funding, such as the Pickleball Association of America and other tennis groups, as well as the state. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Clark, quick.
Sorry, just a quick follow-up. If you're taking some time to reconsider, I think you should also really think hard about the Home Rule Charter and whether this expenditure, more than the budget, triggers something like changes in appropriations, either increases or decreases in any items on which budgetary controls are maintained shall be made only pursuant to an ordinance resolution of the board authorizing such changes. So really think hard about whether you have the ability or what you need to do to create the legal authority to spend all this money.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark, just hit the button, please.
Sorry.
Thank you. So is the original motion made being withdrawn by the original maker of the motion?
So I have forgotten who
Sorry,
actually
go
made
ahead,
the
Mr.
motion.
I'm sorry?
I don't recall who actually made the motion.
Sure, then this makes it somewhat easy. Mr. McKenna, you instructed me that, or you instructed us that just withdrawing the main motion, it might be the easiest? Correct. I will go ahead and do so at this time.
Thank you. So in the wake of the withdrawal of the original move to approve change order number 1 for the Chase Road project, is there another motion?
Yes, I will move to postpone agenda item D to the next supervisors meeting.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion to postpone this item to the next supervisors meeting, and there has been a second. Is there any discussion from the board?
Actually, do we need to actually vote on postponing something because it can always be added into the next month's meeting?
There's a motion pending, so I would suggest voting on it at this point.
Is there any discussion from the public? Okay, all in favor of excuse me? Did you have something, Mr. Bhaskar? No. Thank you. Therefore, there being a motion to postpone, a motion to approve change order number 1 for the Chase Road project for 1 month to the next Board of Supervisors meeting, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
Supervisor Miller's opposed, and I'll state my opposition as well because I'm not sure if 1 month is enough time of postponement on this matter. Thank you. Moving along, item E, motion to approve capital purchaser of a street sweeper. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Staff is requesting board approval to replace our 2016 Timco sweeper. We currently use our sweepers most days March through November for our MS4 program. The new sweeper will also be a Timco from Golden Equipment through the CoStars program for $337,594, including, which will include the trade-in of our current sweeper. And for the trade-in, it is $35,000.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
So I have some
Yes,
couple
yes,
questions.
commentary from the board, please.
So you have a couple of questions. One is, this wasn't the budget, right?
Yes, it was in the budget.
And the second question is, what is it that's motivating us to replace the 2016 sweeper other than the fact that it's 10 years old? Is it kind of time to replace it? Is it?
It's a maintenance issue. We're having a lot of maintenance issues because it's out there all the time. The atmosphere it's in with the dirt, the dust, the electronics, it's really starting to cost a lot of money. Also, the replacement is going to take us almost a year to get a new one here, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any discussion from the public? Yes, Mr. Huberg.
Is this purchase in the 2026 budget or 2027 budget?
26.
Thank you. Okay, the motion is on ripe, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item F, motion to approve installation of a bypass pump connection at Chesterbrook Pump Station. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Staff is requesting board approval to install a bypass connection at the Chesterbrook Pump Station. This station has never had a bypass connection, and with one pump that is in need of rebuild, the installation of this connection would allow us to use our portable pump we already have. should we have a failure, which we did have one over the weekend, but we were able to work through it. The cost of this installation is $29,800 through CoStars from MGK, who has built 2 of our current pump stations. The township will provide the bypass trucks and will also use our vac truck to do the excavation for the project.
Thank
Happy
you.
to answer any questions.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion by the board? Any discussion by the public? That said, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, motion passes. Item G, motion to approve adding the property located at 1250 Old Lancaster Road, Berwyn, PA 19312, parcel number 43-10J-41, to the Historic Resource Map according to the Historic Resources Ordinance, Section 208-122.5C1. Mr. McKenna.
So I think Ms. McPherson can speak to it too, but just to clarify that the motion will need to be conditioned upon receiving the written consent from the property owner for adding the property to the Historic Resources Map, as it was not yet received in time for tonight's board meeting. So that would be the one condition. But I think Ms. McPherson, if there's any comment on the specifics.
Yeah, the zoning ordinance does require that the owner have either started the process or, give us approval prior to the board's approval,
Okay.
but we can certainly make it conditional. There is some concern with this historic landmark, I would say. It was constructed in 1790 when the new Lancaster Turnpike cut off the original Blue Ball Tavern. This property is currently up for sale, I believe. So we want to make sure that there is no, the new owner doesn't come in and demolish the structure. The original tavern was owned by someone that lived to 100 years old, and they told many stories about the property and the historic nature of it, including, I think, it was kind of like a lower class tavern, so there was maybe some seedy actions happening there. And there's rumors of skeletons of men that were robbed and murdered at the inn, and that they found them in the dirt floor.
I think it's unfair to attribute that to being seedy lower class living there at the time.
I mean, it sounds like a good time to me, I guess.
Mr. McKenna, is it better that we table the motion or postpone it, or will a vote taken on it now that is conditional do what we want to do in protecting the property?
I think you're okay. The ordinance requires the consent in writing within 90 days from the Historic Commission's recommendation. So there is a time period in there already provided by the ordinance. So if it's not received, even in that 90 days, I'd say you'd probably have to start the whole process over again.
All right. So do we have a motion to approve adding the property?
So moved.
Second.
Do we need to modify the motion just with the conditional part? All right. I'll move
I think
to. You did? Okay, then we're good.
Thank you. There being a motion and a second, and we've had discussion already. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Moving on to item H, motion to authorize advertisement of a public hearing on July 20th, 2026, to consider and possibly adopt an ordinance to authorize the acquisition of a parcel located at 599 Park Ridge Drive through the PEMA Hazard Mitigation Program based on the condition of receiving the homeowner's signature on the revised agreement of sale. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Ms. Humble. The township was awarded a hazard mitigation grant from the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency for funding to implement stormwater hazard mitigation measures. As part of that grant award, the township will purchase the property at 599 Park Ridge Drive and demolish the existing home and any attachments to the land and return the property to meadow condition as a means of mitigating stormwater hazards in this area of the township. The board may recall we have already done this once and within the last 18 months for 595 Park Ridge Drive, and we have another third property potentially in the works for a future board agenda. The Home Rule Charter requires the purchase of real property be done through the ordinance process, and so you have the draft agreement of sale attached to the draft ordinance. The purchase price is $825,000. Again, all funded through the PEMA grant program. At the time that the agenda was done, we did not have the correct agreement of sale signature page. I think there was a spelling error on Ms. Johnson's name. I believe we have that now, but the motion is contingent upon correcting the signature page to make sure that her name is spelled correctly.
Thank you. And just to say again, this is a motion to authorize advertisement of the public hearing. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Many seconds. Any discussion by the board? Any discussion by the public? Okay, all in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Oh, the ayes have it, and it passes. Thank you very much. Moving on to the last item on the agenda, item I, which is the one that was added by amendment at the beginning of this meeting. Motion to approve partial escrow release number 6 for Berwyn Village in the amount of $64,565.80, balance remaining $92,289.29. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Ms. Humble. On May 11th, the developer had submitted a release request for this project that included trees and shrubs, sidewalks, sidewalk aprons, fine grading, yard drains, and street lights. The applicant actually requested release totaling about $57,000. After Princeton Hydro completed their inspection and a review of the inspection reports, all items requested for release were completed to the amount requested. But due to a mathematical error, the total for the approval is actually that which is listed on the agenda, which is $64,565,80. The balance that will remain, again, in escrow is $92,289.28, so the developer is still on the hook for that amount. Again, the reason that this is on for tonight is that we have to act within 45 days of the May 11th request, or it's a deemed approval. Princeton Hydro is your approved engineer and is recommending the release in the amount listed on the agenda.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion by the board? Any discussion by the public? Yes, please come forward. And please remember to state your name.
Thank you. It is on. Hi, my name is Dottie Ives Dewey. I live at 40 Branch Avenue, and I serve as the president of the HOA of Berwyn Village. So I am here representing the entire HOA. And I want to start off and say that we'd like to acknowledge the work that Stonehaven has completed. I know it's been a long haul, but they have completed much of the work, and we thank them for following through with their contractual commitments to complete many of the site improvements as shown on the land development plan. However, we have just 2 remaining areas of concern. Number 1 having to do with paving. We've been promised for some time now that the final top coat of paving on the roads would be finished, and to date, that hasn't happened. And just to clarify, the driveways have been paved, but we were expecting the paving of the roads to happen soon after, and that has not happened. And we haven't received any recent updates of when that's expected to occur. And so when we saw this on the agenda, it just raised some concerns because we want to be assured that there will be sufficient funds available in the escrow to complete this work. And just want to make sure that the township engineer has looked into the situation and is of the opinion.
I can address that. Mr. Burgo actually this morning, he's been out of the office, but did actually send an email, which I was CC'd on, to Stonehaven to again, we have not heard about the paving. If you notice, there is still a remaining balance of $92,289 in escrow.
So, and just to clarify, I think this is what you said, that is what will remain after,
Correct.
after this release.
Balance remaining, yes. So we're aware of it. Princeton Hydro The reason this was, and to be quite honest, we've been going back and forth. I know it's been a long process for you. It came in, Princeton Hydro approved the work they've done so far, which they did finally, after all these months and years, have done some work. They are eligible to have that escrow release. They're up to speed on back payments to the township. So Steve did also look at it. So Princeton Hydro and Steve looked at it. They approved it. During the money emails, it was the same thing. So I didn't realize that there's a 45-day clock on escrow, which would be deemed approval, which is why we had to put it on for tonight. But there is remaining balance in the account of over let's call it $92,000. For Tredyffrin side, we feel that that's enough for us to deal with the remaining paving on our side, because we're the smallest portion of it. So, but it's all been reviewed, and these items are approved and clean and good to go.
Okay. I just want to state our second area of concern, and that's in regard to stormwater. Lots of talk about stormwater tonight. And just so you know, the HOA commissioned, we got approval from the entire HOA to commission an independent engineering study to examine the stormwater facilities below grounds. We have had a history of flooding. We don't know for sure what caused that, but we have hired an engineering company to come in and to scope the stormwater lines and the drainage beds, just to ensure that these facilities were constructed in accordance with the land development plans. We are expecting actually to receive that report this week, and we're wondering if the township has done any examination of these facilities, just for the same thing, to ensure that they were built in accordance with the township stormwater management regulations. And if not, if that hasn't happened, we would just respectfully request that some funds be escrowed for these improvements just until our report is available, which we will obviously share with everybody, just to ensure that funds are available in the event, we don't know yet, but in the event that there are any problems with what was
So I would recommend
constructed.
following up with Mr. Burgo directly about the plan reviews and all that. I know the final paving there was some discussion about adjusting the inlets, so Steve has information on that. We don't have the ability to have additional escrow for anything else beyond what the project was approved, but Steve can give you the background information on that, and because he's been out there with Princeton Hydro all along, I know, and it's been a long process for the stormwater portion as well, so I just recommend.
But so all the stormwater facilities were inspected?
At least I can't speak on the Easttown side, so yeah,
Sure.
I know for Steve and Princeton Hydro, we're very involved with that.
Okay.
And like I said, I know there was an issue with a couple inlets that appeared to be raised, which could affect the drainage in there, and Steve can answer that much better than I can, so I'll certainly have him follow up with you, or if you drop us an email, I'll have him follow up.
Okay, I will do that. Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I believe there's somebody else in the audience who had some questions or commentary on this matter. If you'd please approach and state your name for the record. Oh, you have to turn on the red. Yep, turn on the button first so we can all hear you.
Here?
There you go.
Okay. Angela Diane O'Havick Burton. I live at 49 Branch Avenue, and I'm on the HOA board too. I'm the treasurer. Anyway, the only thing I noticed is that one of the lights is still not operating. So I don't know if who reviews that or how that gets covered.
I'm not, again, you could have to give us the specific location, if it's in the
Well,
different
actually,
side.
the one outside your
It may be
house.
I don't know where it is, it could be Easttown or us, I'm not sure, but you can let us know if it's on our side.
Yeah, it's right outside Dottie's house. I saw it was not on last night, so,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big street.
Yep.
Okay, that's all.
Thank you very much. So we'll take a vote on the, Mr. Clark, did you have commentary? No, okay. Thank you. Following on with the vote. All in favor?
One more comment?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
I have a comment? Yeah.
Supervisor Von Mall.
No.
Oh.
Supervisor Miller.
Supervisor Miller.
Yeah, sorry, I know it's tough to do this remote, sorry about that. Hey, I just wanted to clarify, so Bill, can you just confirm, I think I heard you say this, but you confirm we have enough money to pave our portion of that street with the $92,000 we've held back? And that's the only thing left to be done?
I can confirm with Steve the amount, that's the amount left in escrow for the balance of the paving. That's the only thing that's left in terms of what was originally designed for the project. The one we're releasing tonight is all the other work that's been completed, so that should be enough for our portion of the paving if they don't do it. But again, that's a long legal process which would cost additional dollars if we had to litigate it.
No, I get that we don't want it, we prefer he does it. I don't disagree with that point at all. We've talked about this a couple of times. And can you just clarify that we'll check that this light that's not working is in fact on the eastbound side before we release the money?
Yeah, I'll talk with Steve and Princeton Hydro when they were out there looking at it and see what, once it's approved and it's working, if a light bulb goes out, I'll have to talk to the solicitor, what liability in terms of but everything else has been completed. We can certainly take a look at that light post.
Thank you.
Okay,
Is there any other discussion by the board? Any other questions? Moving on to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to new matters. Any board members? Nope. Any yes, Supervisor Von Mall.
Since this is our last meeting before the 4th, I just want to wish everybody a happy Independence Day. Please stay safe so that Supervisor Brzezinski doesn't get called to come out and have to help you.
Thank you very much. Any members of the board otherwise want to be recognized? Any members of the public? Please come forward, state your name, and let us know. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Sandy Forbes from Berwyn. I just would like to know what financial institution Tredyffrin keeps its money. What is the bank? Do we know?
Who would like to answer that, Mr. Martin or Mr. DeRocco?
We use a few. We use, for like our main checking and everyday, we use WISVIS. We have money in Pliget, which is Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust. We have money at Vanguard. We have money at Franklin Mint Credit Union. We have some money with PA Invest, which is run by the state treasury as well. So we spread it.
That's great. So there's no money at Citizens Bank?
No.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Forbes. Any other citizens to be heard? Mr. Clark?
A quick word for Superintendent Beatty, who's been sitting here patiently. I learned just a few days ago that Joe Butler is retiring, and that is a great loss to the township. He's been a wonderful partner to Open Land Conservancy with occasional issues we've had, and I'm hoping, A, that he'll get appropriate recognition, and B, that you'll find someone just as good to be the community policing officer.
Definitely big shoes to fill. He does a great job, very well received in the community. Thank you for your words and comments. I'll make sure I get it back to him. At the next meeting, we were going to try and recognize Joe, have Joe here with his family, and give him a little recognition. Joe's taking on a great opportunity with the Chester County Intermediate Unit, working with children in the Chester County region with a law enforcement first responder program. Just really good for him to be able to give back to the youth of the community on a greater scale. So a good opportunity for him, but also good opportunity for us for some growth.
Thank you, Chief Beatty. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Anybody else? Hearing none, our next meeting is on July the 20th, 2026, and at 7 p.m. in the same place, and hopefully we'll see you again then. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.